to let the file comes up when it's ready.
Hello and welcome. My name is Jennifer Short and I am the Course Director of the Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science. I am incredibly pleased to be here today to introduce our degree program and answer the questions that you may have about why you'd like to study pharmaceutical science. Before I begin though, I'd like to acknowledge the people of the Kulin Nations on whose land I stand today. Now, I know a lot of you are probably joining me from elsewhere in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, and potentially internationally, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land from which you join us. Welcome today. Monash has a proud tradition of challenging orthodoxy, for challenging what is accepted thinking and looking for an alternative pathway. For us, we're all about changing it. And you can change it as a pharmaceutical scientist with Monash University. So, for example, the word incurable disease does not belong in modern medicine. Let's work together to change it. So one of the first questions and one of the most common questions we get at these open days is, should I study pharmacy or pharmaceutical science? You offer both at the faculty, so what's the difference? Well, to me, the similarities are there in that medicines are the essence of both disciplines and are at the centre of what we want to achieve. Pharmacists are medicine experts and they work with patients and healthcare teams, whereas pharmaceutical scientists advance the science of new and existing medicines. This is a field for people who love biology, who love chemistry, who look at a problem and see it as a challenge and an obstacle to overcome, who enjoy thinking about better medicines by design, how they can advance healthcare and well-being of all by designing better therapies and better ways of treating diseases. So the next question that you might have is, why would I choose Monash University? Well, I think our rankings speaks for itself. Over the last 10 years, we've maintained that top 10 worldwide average in pharmacy and pharmacology. And we're number 2 in actual fact, just slightly behind Harvard, but we'll get there, we'll beat them. You might want to join us because of our faculty-wide commitment to innovation in education. We are absolutely committed to the scholarship of education, for the scholarship of learning and skill attainment. We've been at the forefront of the curriculum revamping, which has put active learning front and centre, and students are at the centre of their own learning process. We have a very strong focus on skills, employability skills, and making sure that workplace-related learning occurs early in our degree program and that students are exposed to authentic problem solving that they'll continue in their career, but they're also exposed to building that network of people that they'll end up working alongside in their future endeavours. Skills to us are individualised, and it's about making sure that each and every student knows what skills they need to attain to be a successful pharmaceutical science and are given every opportunity to develop those skills and are then able to articulate and have the evidence to show that they've attained the skill set of a pharmaceutical science when they're ready to enter the workplace. You may want to come and study with us because of our campus at Parkville. We are one of the smallest faculties of Monash University, but we are in an ideal location. We have a single purpose campus, which means that we have a strong community where students and academics mingle every day and learn each other's names and build those communities that can be really important when the going gets tough during your study. We are in the centre of Melbourne's medical and biotech precinct. So when you are looking ahead, you're already starting to build those networks and the knowledge of who and where you might want to work next. And of course, we're part of Monash, and it's a global top 100 university. And for us, it's certainly the most exciting place to learn. Looking ahead even further, coronavirus has brought this into sharp relief, but we're right in the middle of a really burgeoning pharmaceutical industry. You are surrounded by biotech companies and you'll be exposed to those biotech companies and what they do, the major medical research institutes, and of course you're going to study alongside researchers in the Monash Institute of Pharmaceutical Science, the #1 pharmacy and pharmaceutical science institute in Australia, and I would say worldwide. And lastly, as a student, you're going to be looking at what sort of activities you can do alongside your learning. And it's going to be about that close proximity to the Melbourne Central Business District, to Carlton, to Brunswick. It's going to be that ability to make friends easily. You'll have that peer mentor and the support network that you need. We have the dedicated clubs and societies located on campus, and we have the facilities that are going to support you to be able to study as you need and when you need. Lastly, we have an international student body that's sitting at about 30%. So we're a really inclusive, fun, vibrant community, and I invite you to come along and find out more. So pharmaceutical science, why am I so passionate about it? I think it's an amazing career pathway, and it's all about, as I said, better medicines by design. Basically, you are doing everything, or you have the opportunity to work right across the pathway in bringing new medicines to market or improving medicines that exist so they have better effectiveness, fewer side effects, and they're available for more. So it's about starting at the very beginning and looking at disease and how disease impacts upon the body. It's about finding a drug target and then identifying the chemicals or the drugs that might be able to interact with a particular target to create a better outcome. It's about then developing that drug so that it can be given to a human, it's safe, effective, it's reliable, it's going to produce the effects that you want it to without any off-target unwanted effects. And it's about being able to take that drug right through to the important regulatory steps so that it is safe, it is effective, it is approved, and then once you're there, it's about formulating it and developing it in terms of production, getting it out into the community and making sure that your drug or your medicine is doing exactly what it should be doing. Where do people go after they study as pharmaceutical scientists here? Well, the world's your oyster, and as I mentioned before, here in Victoria, we're at the centre of a large biotech industry. There is a lot of research institutes that are furthering what we know about diseases and how we treat them. So you might become a biomedical researcher, you might be involved in clinical trials, you might become a medicinal chemist or a product developer or formulator. There are many, many, many different pathways, and I invite you to visit the Graduate Outcomes booth to hear a little bit more about what opportunities exist once you finish here with us. So if you happen to be around about 150, 200 years ago, you will have known that the top 10 causes of death in Australia were mainly infectious or communicable diseases, and they unfairly targeted the young. So there are a lot of diseases where people didn't make it to middle or adulthood. Luckily, because of the hard work and the achievements of pharmaceutical scientists, we've been able to find treatments that have meant that most of these infectious or communicable diseases in Australia are largely eradicated or are certainly not a major cause of mortality any longer. However, we now have a new set of challenges, and they're related to what diseases that we often class as diseases of aging or diseases of lifestyle, and they are very complicated, complex disorders. But where others see an impossible task, pharmaceutical scientists see the challenge, and they know they can change it. So if you believe that it's unfair that somebody lives with a lifelong disability after stroke, well, I invite you to come train as a pharmaceutical scientist and change it. So back to our drug discovery pipeline, there are a lot of stages between your idea and your target, being able to validate that and think about how you might treat a different disease, all the way through to having that, it being in production and available in the community. Many, many steps, but it means that you have a lot of opportunities to find the place within that pathway that best suits your interest areas. So students will get a really strong foundation in physiology and pathophysiology, in biochemistry, in physical and medicinal chemistry, in looking at drug design and development, and then also looking at when you're getting into that full-scale industrial formulation and making sure that we're getting good manufacturing criteria in place. And it's about knowing that you can see all the way along that pipeline, but you can find a spot that best suits your interests and your career pathway. So in the Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science, we have common first and second year, and that's about making sure that everybody is aware of that, the full gamut of pharmaceutical science and the opportunities that are available. And then in third year, we have a capstone interdisciplinary unit, and we also have an extended professional experience opportunity where you can go and work in industry or in a research setting and fully explore your options for the following year. Once you've graduated, you may move directly into honours, and we have a pathway for that, or you may enter the workforce. We have 3 different Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science degrees on offer, and they are there to suit your needs. So you may choose to have the 3-year Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science, which upon graduation enables you to be ready, job ready, and you're got the skill set and the knowledge to exit into a career in industry or research. You may choose to do the Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science with Advanced Honours, which has the honours year inbuilt. It is a research extended project, and it'll set you up nicely if you decide to do further studies, postgraduate studies, or for if you're ready to move into the workplace. Lastly, and not leastly, we have a fantastic Bachelor of Chemical Engineering and Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science double degree on offer. And this gives students the best of both worlds there in terms of innovation and really being at the forefront of moving those medicines into the community. The other thing that I want to mention is, again, to reiterate the fact that we are located where we are. We're right next to the Monash Institute of Pharmaceutical Science, meaning that you have access to the amazing resources, and I mean human resources, but I also mean the equipment and instruments that are relevant for industry and research. So our students get exposure to that, but more importantly, they get the training that means that they're ready to seamlessly transition into the workplace. So there's a lot of great equipment alongside the expertise that is all around you here. And the small size of our faculty means that you have that greater opportunity to take part. We have that focus on skills, as I've mentioned. It is really important that our students attain knowledge, but they also have the requisite skill set for their future careers. But as well as attaining skills and knowledge, you need to be able to communicate and articulate your levels of skill and knowledge. And so we look at the whole package, and it's part of that employability skills and being workplace ready. The last little thing I'd like to tell you about is the Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science Advanced Honours, which Scholars Program. This is for very high achieving students, and we think it's a great opportunity, and there is the additional package of a $6,000 a year scholarship and an invitation to have that further networking opportunity with the leaders in our field. So thank you for listening to me today. I believe that there's been a few questions coming through the chat, and I'd love to have a few more. If you've got any other questions about admissions or what life is like at Parkville, please do visit our other booths.
Check in the Zoom. See that there are a couple of questions. Yeah, I could read them out to you possibly.
Okay, I'm just heading over to the chat.
So we have one question about whether there are international opportunities.
For international opportunities for placement or for study, or both?
I think I'll both. Yeah.
At this stage, it is a bit limited. We are dealing with the current impact of the travel restrictions around coronavirus, but we are very actively working in this arena to set up opportunities for you to take semesters with our partners, perhaps in North America or the United Kingdom, or for you to have an exchange program with universities that we are aligned with in China, for example, or Singapore or Thailand. So yes, stay tuned. That space is developing very, very quickly.
A question about graduate outcomes, what jobs people get?
Yeah. So look, this is a very, very wide arena. I have friends and colleagues who work in research. I have many friends and colleagues who work in industry. That might be pharma or associated industries. People guidelines, the regulatory affairs, who work in clinical trials. You will have opportunity and exposure to look at all angles of the graduate outcomes and to really find what suits you, your personality and your goals. I can see there's some questions here about, am I restricted to working in making medicines? So pharmaceuticals are a key target. It's about better medicines, but by design. But you actually will exit the degree program with the skill set required for formulation of other products that aren't medicine. So it might be in the cosmetics industry, or it might be in paints, or industries that are involved in formulating large volumes that need to have the right quality, that need to be exactly as the product promises. That's part of the remit of a good formulator. Are there any electives within the degree? Yes, there are. So in third year, once you've had that good solid grounding in the foundational sciences, you have the opportunity to sort of pick and choose which dimensions really suit you. So it might be that you're very much drawn to biology, how the body works, what happens in different disease states, and then you're interested in how drugs will impact that. Or you might be more interested further along in that once we have a drug, in making it more effective or increasing its ability to be manufactured at scale. You might be interested in how the body, the chemical behaves in the human body. So you have a bit more of a focus on chemistry. So lots of different opportunities there. Do we have to apply for the BPharm Sci Advanced Honours? Yes, both of them are separate degrees with separate course codes. There is the ability to move from the Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science Advanced Honours into the 3-year degree program, but we certainly recommend that if you are thinking about that Advanced Honours pathway, enrol, participate. You'll have the same common first 2 years, and then you can make a decision at that stage. Will I struggle in the course if I don't do VCE biology? Yeah, so we are aware of some of our students enter our degree program not having done biology. So we offer biology refreshers, and we also offer opportunities for you to upskill. Now, I won't lie to you, there is a lot of terminology in biology that will give you a small advantage as you sort of start in physiology. But we find that by halfway through the first semester, our students who haven't done biology have caught up, and there's no real long-lasting impact. Can you please explain the course structure, like what areas and units we are studying in the course? Yes, no worries. So in first year, you do 2 lots of chemistry units, a physical chemistry and an organic chemistry set of units. You do physiology, which is different to biology because it is all about the human body. And we start to look at some of the really important principles about pharmacology, which is the study of how drugs behave in the body. In second year, you'll do a bit more biochem, pharmacology again, and you start to really look at the chemistry about being able to design and then synthesize drug molecules, and then being able to analyse their properties and behaviours. So really sort of core principles in that drug design and development pipeline. And then in third year, as I mentioned, you do have the ability to start to pick some electives that really suit you. So it might be more in the industrial formulation side, or it might be more in the pathophysiology, identifying new drug targets to treat disease end of the spectrum. But because you've had that great foundation in first and second year, we have that interdisciplinary project to really show you what life will be like post-graduation when you're working in these big teams to actually bring a drug to market. The benefits of doing Chem-Eng and Pharmaceutical Science double degree is that you're interested in chemical engineering, you're interested in innovation and problem solving, but you know or you feel that you want to make a difference in that healthcare and pharmaceutical milieu. So I would say the benefits are that you get to study deeply in both areas. You get to graduate with both degree programs in 5 years, and you can really use that engineering skill set to advance and move into the pharmaceutical science and biotech industries. What are the differences between majors such as drug discovery biology or formulation science, etc.? Yeah, it's a really great question. So in drug discovery biology, as I might have mentioned earlier, it is really looking at how the body works, looking at cells and how they function, with that sort of awareness of what's going wrong in a disease state, okay, and what are some of the changes that may represent targets that we can design drug molecules to actually hit and alleviate either the symptomology or the disease progression. So in drug discovery biology, you spend a lot of time thinking about target identification and validation. In formulation, you might be a little bit further along. So the chemists and the biologists have worked together in that early part and have designed and started to synthesize drug molecules that hit those targets. And in formulation, you're really interested in how do I administer that drug or that chemical so that it gets to the part of the body that it needs to, that you don't get any off-target effects, that you're minimizing side effects, that you're making a formulation that is palatable so that people are more likely to take it. And then you can also look ahead to see, well, how can I make this at scale? How do I make certain that I can formulate a product that will be manufactured and perhaps, sent a long way away or sit on a shelf before it's used? So formulation is really looking at how we manufacture and administer the drug so that we can get the optimal effects. To what level do you need to study before you can find employment? This is fantastic. We have students who leave at third year and go straight into employment. Our really well integrated work experience model means that you've had the chance to go out and work in industry, or you've had the chance to work alongside researchers, so you have a deeper knowledge about what it is that you want to do. And we find that because of the networks that students are building in their undergraduate space, they've actually already set up their future job. And so they graduate and head straight into the workplace. Other students are definitely more interested in continuing that undergraduate and then postgraduate learning journey, and they're heading off into research. So we have a lot of students exit at third year and very successfully move into the workplace, and then other students who do that honours year to get a good sense of what it is that they want to continue with, and then perhaps continue into a PhD or into the workplace. So lots of different opportunities to exit depending on what it is that you want to achieve. Would you recommend studying physics in VCE for this course? I would actually recommend biology over physics. I would say that in pharmaceutical science, it really is the interplay between the biology and the chemistry that's very important. But if you're thinking about the double degree with the Bachelor of Chem-Eng, maybe physics and chemistry are a better combination for you. But we have booths available where people can advise you on your different study strategies in VCE. And a question here about, I'm interested in developing medicine, but could you explain the major difference between pharmaceutical science and biomedicine? Yeah, I think pharmaceutical science really gives you the full understanding of all the steps between an idea and, like I said before, you see that problem and you want to tackle it. So people are dying from malaria. Okay, what do we want to do? So we find the target, but there's a long way from the target to the marketplace. If you study pharmaceutical science, you know what goes on in all of those different phases. You know where there could be issues and bottlenecks, and you can actually look at where you can make a contribution to moving it forward. Biomedicine, this I think, be more appropriate if you spoke to the experts at the Bachelor of Biomedicine, but it's focused more, I think, on the disease and the human, and giving, that phase of drug treatment and effect on disease. Question about internships and what's happening, I believe, in the coronavirus, the impact that coronavirus has had. It has been challenging. I can't deny that. Our research has actually continued here at the Monash Institute of Pharmaceutical Science, essentially as usual. It is considered to be an area of high importance. I don't know if you've seen one of the professors from our institute, Professor Colin Poughton, has been in the media a lot, looking at different ways of developing vaccines against coronavirus. So in terms of the research side of things, restrictions and our ability to access on campus has impacted our internships. And our ability to place students externally has been impacted because a lot of industries have had to close down or reduce their production in this very acute period. However, I again can see the opportunity in terms of there's already a lot of discussion about how the biotech industry is going to change in response to coronavirus, and how we are going to be, pharmaceutical scientists are going to be at the forefront of changing the way that Australia and the world is able to respond in the future. And that's everything from new vaccines and new treatments, but also our ability to provide them at scale, which is the other end of the pharmaceutical science pipeline. It's really important. So I would say, yes, acutely we're finding it challenging, and you'll see that across the board. But in the future, I see a lot of opportunities for our graduates. Yep. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. Please do visit the booths that support our open day here, and we look forward to seeing you and answering any questions that you may